The exact date of planet Earth is somewhat of an argued conversation. Some believe it's 4.5 billion years old, while others suggest only a few thousand years. It's not for today's discussion, but one thing we can all agree on, during this planet's lifetime, it's been home to some mind-blowing forms of life. Prehistoric animals in particular are especially fascinating. Now, some of these animals seem made up, but fossils suggest a few thousand years ago, this planet would have been a scary place. And although humans have put themselves at the top of the food chain, you can bet if these 5 animals were still around, we would have a hard time claiming that title. Here are 5 of some of the biggest and scariest now extinct animals, and their incredible abilities and appearances. Sit back and enjoy. Sauropod Argentinosaurus. Now this one is huge, and currently holds the record for being the longest and heaviest land animal ever to exist. An adult Argentinosaurus weighed in between 85 and 105 tons, and was around 35 to 45 meters long. In comparison, that is around 5 to 6 times longer than a standard London bus. The longest existing creature today is a reticulated python, and that only reaches lengths of 6.95 meters, or 22.8 feet. So imagine coming face to face with something as big as the Argentinosaurus. However, to grow to this enormous size took 40 years or more, as when the Argentinosaurus was born, it was relatively small, hatching from eggs roughly the size of a rugby ball. The Argentinosaurus was a sauropod, so it had no interest in eating meat and lived off plants, probably feasting on leaves from the top of trees. It's thought that it grew to such gigantic proportions to protect itself from fierce predators, such as Gigantopithecus and Mapasaurus, although despite its size, it could still outrun most of its predators. There are suggestions by scientists that there are 3 other sauropods which compete in size with it. An unnamed Patagonian titanosaur at 40 meters, and 2 other species, one at 44 meters and the other at 58 meters. But because there is less evidence of their existence, the Argentinosaurus remains officially the biggest. Meganora. Now this creature was not the biggest, but it would have been pretty scary to encounter. It's the Meganora, and it's one of the largest flying insects ever to exist. It looks strikingly similar to a dragonfly, but in comparison, the wingspan of a dragonfly is around 120 millimeters, whereas the Meganora had a huge 2-foot wingspan. The Meganora is a species of giant-sized insects that existed over 300 million years ago. However, the fossils of this gigantic insect were only discovered in 1880 in France. Then again in 1979, when another fossil specimen was found in the UK. Despite visual similarities with the modern-day dragonfly, the Meganora's structure was very different, and the heavily veined wings meant they were stronger but slower than the dragonfly of today, due to their large frame. Although their preying methods were similar, since their consumption and the size of the organisms they feasted on would have been considerably bigger. It's thought they lived closer to water, and it's not inconceivable that they may have also dined on small amphibium. So how did this insect get so large compared to the insects of the modern day? Well, it's thought that the higher oxygen content in prehistoric times supported the growth of these insects, as well as many other creatures in this video, and it would be impossible for their massive bodies to survive in the present-day atmosphere. The oxygen content in today's atmosphere is up to 21%, whereas back then it was around 35%. Gigantopithecus. Compared to the Argentinosaurus, this next beast was a baby, but it was still pretty big, and when you consider it was an ape and not a dinosaur, it's pretty terrifying. The Gigantopithecus was around 10 feet tall and weighed approximately 500 kilograms. It lived around 9 million years ago in what is now southern China, although it's thought to have still been in existence 100,000 years ago, and didn't go extinct until the beginning of the last of the Pleistocene ice ages. At this time, its size and reliance on vast amounts of food supplied by forests that were destroyed during the Pleistocene period meant it could not survive. It was unable to adapt from eating fruit to other grass and leafy vegetation. However, its relatives, such as the orangutan, a much smaller species of ape with a much slower metabolism and the ability to live on limited food, have managed to survive. The giant species such as the giant sloth and Gigantopithecus had no chance. Or did they? This ape looks surprisingly like descriptions of Bigfoot and the Yeti, and many believe the true origins of these two mythical creatures could be extremely rare sightings of this prehistoric creature. What do you think? Titanoboa. This recently discovered prehistoric creature existed around 58 million years ago and was a monster snake measuring 14 meters long and weighing more than a ton, with a massive 3-foot girth. It lived and terrorized the swampy jungles of South America, and when the dinosaur went extinct, it was said to be the largest creature on the planet. The Titanoboa was more than twice the size of the largest modern-day snake, and is believed to be a distant relative of the anaconda and boa constrictor. And although it was not poisonous, it was an expert predator and capable of crushing its unfortunate prey with the constricting force of 400 pounds per square inch. On top of that, it could also swallow a crocodile whole. However, it wasn't until 2002 when scientists discovered a lost world of giant reptile fossils, including 3 Titanoboa skulls in northern Colombia, that they were able to accurately reconstruct its size for the first time ever. A truly incredible creature, but can you just imagine coming face to face with a snake the size of a school coach? The Dunkleosteus. The Dunkleosteus was a gigantic fish that lived over 360 million years ago. It was a ferocious predator and grew to a massive 33 feet, and in the Paleozoic era, it was one of the top predators. The Dunkleosteus belonged to the Placodermi, a family of armor-plated fishes, and was probably the largest species of this group, and likely the longest creature of its era, before the existence of dinosaurs. It had one of the most powerful bites of any known fish, with a bite force of up to 8,000 pounds per square inch. That puts it close to the Tyrannosaurus rex and modern-day crocodiles. Pretty impressive for a fish. The speed in which it opened its mouth was also impressive. It took just 1/15 of a second and created such a powerful suction that it would literally pull its prey into its mouth. However, it didn't have teeth as we think of them. Instead, it had 2 large bony plates that would slice through flesh and snap and grind bones. But because of its heavy armor-plated nature, it was a relatively slow swimmer. To add to all this, it was also a cannibal and routinely attacked and ate its own species. The Dunkleosteus went extinct over 400 million years ago for reasons that are unknown. Remains of their head armor have been found in Morocco, Belgium, Poland, and North America. And you may recognize them now, as they live on in popular culture in many video games. So that's 5 of some of the scariest and biggest animals that once roamed the earth. It's truly incredible to think that they also walked the planet, and that we are now walking in their exact footsteps. A truly insane thought that really keeps me grounded just thinking about it. Thanks for watching, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.